Alright guys, I'm just really tired of seeing so many videos on YouTube claiming to show people how to change the dead battery in their old Game Boy games, and it is driving me insane because I haven't seen anybody do it properly. So I figure I'll do everyone a favor and I'll just make the definitive guide on how to replace those batteries. This is Steve from Restalgia, and let's just get this over with. Okay, and before we get started here, please, if you are a YouTuber, stop making videos showing people how to do this incorrectly. It's lazy, and you end up ruining these games in the long term, and it's just not the honest thing to do. Now, all that I can really do is just show you guys how to do it. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Now for this video, I'm just going to be doing some work on an old copy of Pokemon Silver that I had laying around that I know the batteries dried up on. When I get this thing up and running, as you guys can see, it doesn't have a save state. It is not keeping any of the saves, and as a result, we obviously need to change out the battery, and we're going to do it the right way without the use of electrical tape. The things that we need to fix this are obviously our defective Pokemon Silver game. We're going to need one of those Nintendo security bits, as well as a screwdriver, and then we are also going to need some replacement CR2025 batteries. We're going to need an Exacto knife or some other type of really thin blade. We're going to need some sort of super glue, and for this I'm going to be using the Gorilla brand super glue gel. I find that it just works the best. And probably the absolute most important thing that we're going to be needing is our peanut butter. Now it's important to mention that you should always go with the smooth type, because the little bits of peanut in the crunchy type tend to get in the way and make things a little bit harder and much more complicated than they need to be. Additionally, we want to be mindful of the people out there with nut or peanut allergies. So for you guys, I would suggest using an organic sunflower seed butter similar to this, or something along those lines. It has much of the same consistency as peanut butter, and the oil to protein ratios are about the same. The last thing I gotta mention about this is do not, under any circumstances, use cashew butter. It does not yield the same results at all. Alright, so let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is remove the screw holding our game case together. Next, we need to slide the top of the case down just a little bit, and then it should just come right off. If yours doesn't, you may need to apply just a little bit of pressure to remove it. Oh, son of a... Okay, so now that I've gently removed the cover, we can take the board out and we can place it in front of us. As you can see, we have our battery that's been absolutely ridiculously soldered into the board. It blows my mind how lazy Nintendo was with this. Anyway, there are a couple of metal tabs attached to the battery, one on the top and one underneath. We're going to need to grab our Exacto knife and gently pry those tabs up. Keep in mind, batteries are one of the hardest substances on Earth, so you don't really have to worry about puncturing it. You just don't want to break your blade. Now we are going to repeat the process for the other side of the battery. Now that we've got the old battery out, it's time to grab our new battery, or should I say new batteries. As you can see, I purchased a 2-pack, and this is for good reason. I am going to put them both in there. This is going to effectively double the length of time the batteries will last. So I probably won't even need to change them again for like 30 or 40 years. Just a heads up, Nintendo, this is how you future-proof. Next, what we need to do is we need to glue the positive side of the battery down with some super glue. You don't really need that much, but you want to make sure that you've got enough that there's at least some decent contact between the battery and that metal tab. Now we just gotta wait a couple of minutes until that glue dries. Perfect, so now we need to grab that second battery, and again we are going to glue that in. Again, positive side down, and we're going to glue it to the first battery. And now we've got to wait for that glue to set again. And lastly, we have to glue the metal tab back to the top of the battery pile. You may need to bend it a little bit in order for it to work, but it's pretty flimsy and it should be easy enough and really shouldn't give you too much trouble. And now we've got to wait again. So we are actually almost done here. We have our batteries in place, and now we have to make sure that the board can effectively transmit information throughout the entire PCB. The easiest way to do that is using our nut butter. Now, I should mention, it is always best to use an organic nut butter. Studies have shown that the pesticides in the nuts of traditional butters can cause latency in your gameplay and break down the board over time. What we want to do is evenly spread the nut butter over the board, making sure not to get any at all on top of the battery. If you do, you've pretty much ruined all of the work you've done so far, and you may as well just throw the whole thing in the trash. Once you are happy with how it looks, you just simply need to reassemble your game. Place the board back in the rear part of the case, and then slide the top back on. Finally, we just need to put the screw back in to hold it all together. Now, if you did end up losing your screw, no big deal. We can just squeeze a tiny bit more super glue in there. Nobody's gonna notice, and it's not like you're gonna need to reopen this again for like another 40 years. And what we have here is our completed game with a brand new battery that is going to function fantastically. Now we just gotta throw it into our Game Boy and test it out. Oh god damn. And as you can see, the game turns on perfectly, but we need to see if our save files are there. If we have done this correctly, not only will we be able to save our games again, but our previous save files should actually be recovered. And boom, there it is. We have access to our old save file and can pick up exactly where we left off. And that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Please share this video to everybody in the gaming community. We need to make sure people understand the proper way to replace these batteries. Otherwise, no one's gonna really have any games left to play 10 to 15 years from now. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comment section below if you found this video helpful. If you guys would like to see me do any other sort of similar videos, just let me know and I'd be happy to have a crack at it. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon.